Hey guys, I'm Ian.
And I'm Ivy.
And we are the Double I.
Welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are your hosts and we are here with yet another educative video.
Today we're here with a very special person. He's the CEO of Kenya Film Classification Board. He's none other than Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. Welcome to the show.
Okay, good morning, and how are you?
Good morning.
Yeah, that's Ian, and that is Ivy. Yes. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Welcome to Kenya Film Classification Board.
Thank you.
Yeah, and good to have you today. Thank you for visiting.
Thank you.
Yeah, karibu.
We are glad that you are able to make time to be with us. Kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
I'm Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. I am the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board, where you are. These are our offices. I'm sure you have had time to check around. I'm very sorry I delayed you because I was in another interview. Kenya Film Classification Board, or KFCB as it is known, is the board that regulates film and broadcast sector in this country. And we do it for two purposes. Number one is to protect children from exposure to harmful content. And number two is to ensure that films and broadcast content conform to Kenya's culture, values, and national aspirations. So that's a philosophy for our establishment. We are established under the Films and Stage Plays Act, Cap 222 of the laws of Kenya, and we regulate the entire broadcast and film sector from creation, distribution, broadcasting, exhibition, and even possession of film content. So that's what we do. We rate and classify films, part of the work that we do, which is to assign age appropriateness. So you see some films or programs marked GE for general exhibition, others PG for parental guidance, others not suitable for this. The whole idea is to guide viewers or consumers of film and broadcast content to know the nature of content and what is suitable for viewers or listeners of what age. So it's a very important and very scientific process, by the way. Very interesting. I wish I can invite you one of the days when we are doing classification or rating. You go with our film examiners and see. It's a very interesting process so that you see how do we determine this one requires general exhibition or this is PG and so on and so forth. So that's what we do in short.
Okay. When we were going through your bio, we were impressed by your education and career growth. Tell us how you were able to achieve all this yet so humble.
Thank you very much that you went into my bio and you are attracted by education, because that is the key for me. Education is an equalizer. Education is not just a cliche. Education is the key for life. Not just for getting a job, not just for making money, but even being able to interpret issues in life and navigate and be able to interact and live with other people in a civilized manner. I started my education in a primary school that is not in Google Maps, I always say, but it's not a joke, it's true. I went to schools that are in the village that are not very famous, even though I was very bright when I went to primary school from day one. I was number one. I went to school many years ago, 41 or so years ago, in Nikumini Primary School. Before 844, we used to have a system that used to terminate primary at class 7 and used to do an exam called CPE. And I excelled so well that I was top in they used to call it division, which was like several districts now combined. So that was a huge place. So I was very famous, even though there was no media and newspapers to write my story. But I was supposed to join Machakos High School. I didn't manage because we didn't have money. My parents were poor and they could not afford. I ended up in a secondary school called Popular High School in Kangundo. It closed. It's no longer in existence. Where I went up to Form 2. And then by that time, there was Bamba harvest in Ukambani. My mother was able to sell some beans and so on and raise some money. So I transferred to a better school called Mwala Secondary School, where I did my Form 4. And then I went to Tala High School for my Form 5 and 6, where I was the school captain and the CU chairman, by the way. And throughout my school life, I was either school captain, CU chairman or, one or the other. But I was a leader throughout. Then after my A-levels in Tala High School, I went to Kenyatta University where I did my first degree, Bachelor of Arts, Sociology and Linguistics. Between my first degree and my master's, there is a gap of 15 years. Because like I told you, we came from a very poor background. So I was looking for a job so that my siblings, my brothers and sisters, can also get an opportunity to go to school. And I'm very glad and I'm very thankful to God that I managed to go back and fetch them and support them. And some of them are doing very well. They managed also to get the bit of education. So I did my first degree in Kenyatta University, graduated in 1994. Then the same year I got my job at The Nation as a journalist, where I worked for 9 years. Later on, I ventured into other things. I'll come to my professional and my job-related history. But then 15 years later, I was appointed Director of Information and Public Communications. I treasure education and I'm very grateful that you picked it as a major thing. Now, what I like about this story is the fact that my master's and my PhD, I acquired them when I was very busy. I was already working, so I would finish my work at 5, sometimes very late, and run to the university and study until 9, 10. So my story, I always use that to encourage people to know that, yes, you may not have gotten it immediately. And look at it this way, for 15 years, one would have said I'm too old, going to school when you're already a director. I used to be driven to class, When I did my first degree, I was a hustler, a very poor boy. But when I was doing my master's and PhD, I used to have a Prado and a driver, I would be driven to school. So I was respected even by the lecturers and my supervisors. But the thing is, you can pursue education at every part of your life. No matter how old you are or how young you are, education will help you. Education is an enabler. Education is an equalizer. And education is really, it opens your mind, your interpretation, your perspectives of life, your interaction with other people. Education really liberates the mind and liberates the soul and helps you to navigate the issues of life. So I am not done yet. Now I want to start my pursuit of law degree, because I think I need to defend people. I'm very committed to human rights, and I'm starting my law degree very soon.
Thank you, Dr. Ezekiel. We hope that you can get that law degree.
Yes, I will. And I will rise to become a senior counsel in my lifetime. Yes.
Let's talk about content regulation.
Yes.
Part of being the CEO of Kenya Films
Classification Board
is to regulate the content aired during the Watershed Period. For the purpose of our viewers, please tell us what the Watershed Period is and what challenges you face while enforcing content regulation.
Thank you very much. Watershed means the period in Kenya, because it has different classifications or timings depending on the jurisdiction. In the UK, they have different watershed period. In the US, the same. In Kenya, watershed is the period between 5 in the morning to 10 in the evening, within which period every content on free-to-air radio and TV should be suitable for family viewing and listening. In other words, it should not have objectionable or adult scenes or language. It should be something that you can sit together as a family and you watch without getting embarrassed. But during that period, ideally, it doesn't happen. Some broadcasters break the law and you see very embarrassing or adult content during the day. It shouldn't happen. But just like in another sector, there will be people who will break the law and we keep chasing after them. We keep educating them to know that Watershed is supposed to provide a suitable environment for people to watch TV and listen to radio together. If your parents are driving you to school in the morning, you don't want to get into a radio station on your car and then it is airing or discussing, like I had the experience this morning in my car. There were no children, but they were discussing very adult content that I think you and Ivy should not be listening to. But it would be okay for your mom and for me and for your father to listen. As a regulatory body, our work is to protect consumers from that discomfort, that embarrassment where you wish the lights went off because what is on TV is completely wrong. naked people, nude people, bad language, or somebody smoking, or some people fighting, violence, drugs, and so on. Those are the classifiable elements that we look at. So that's what we do to say, keep that away from the TV and the radio, especially free to air, because those frequencies are supposed to be used to promote national good. So all the programs that are there should promote peace and development and so on. And if people want entertainment that is of adult nature, then they bring it after 10 o'clock.
Thank you for your answer. We've learned the watershed period is the period that children are allowed to watch proper content.
Yes.
Students and pupils are now home for the long holiday. They are likely to have more time to access the gadgets. What is the board doing to regulate what they are watching in the media, and why should children be protected from media content?
Let me start with the last one. Why should children be protected from bad media content? Is because content or the media influences perception and the character and the minds of the people. They are people you like or you hate, not because you have met them in person, but because of what you have seen in the media. So perceptions, opinions, and views are shaped by the news that we watch, the films that we watch, and particularly for your cognitive growth and your perception as you grow, your developmental process, particularly for the young people. You are very impressionable. You are impacted more significantly by the things you see, mostly in entertainment, in music, in films, the things that you like, probably more than even your own other interactions. And therefore, given the power of the media to influence behavior, to influence character, to influence perception, we always say adult things or things that are not suitable for your mind as you grow then should be kept away from you. And I use the example of food, or the analogy of food, that when a child is born, they're not fed with ugali. There'll come a time when they can take ugali. I'm sure, Ian, you do eat ugali. But when you were born, your mother didn't feed you with ugali. It was mandatory that you take milk. In fact, they say preferably you take the mother's milk for 6 months so that you grow. Imagine if somebody was crazy enough to give you ugali. You have just been born and they're there feeding you with a spoon. What kind of human being would you say that is? It's the same with our minds. And the mind is a very powerful tool for the function of the body, because it informs the other faculties and determines how we grow, what kind of people we become, what characters we become. And so it becomes very important that we do not expose you to adult content, to unpalatable content that will influence your behavior. And that's why the board has this mandate to protect children from exposure to harmful film and broadcast content. We classify so that you know what is suitable for you. The whole narrative of protecting children from exposure to harmful content is because, one, they're impressionable. They copy other people. The environment where they grow determines, and the things that they watch determine what kind of human beings they will become and how responsible they will be in participating in national development narrative. I think what we can talk about are the programs right now that we are carrying out, especially during this COVID period. We are working with Google and Communications Authority of Kenya on a program called Child Online Protection. That is to ensure that we sensitize people to know how to use new technologies in a way that's appropriate, that kids do not get into content that is not good for them, they don't misuse gadgets, and that your interaction with new technologies and gadgets is safe and responsible. Because like you've said, there are bullies on the internet. There are pedophiles, there are bad people on the internet. And you can even get pop-ups that are coming up, especially during your online classes. So we have increased the capacity of public sensitization, working with CA and Google. But we have also collaborated with both organizations to ensure that we also create a program called Digital Parenting. Because we want also the parents to understand the experiences that you go through with gadgets and with technology, and to also be able to interact with you and enjoy the use of gadgets together instead of taking the gadgets away. Because technology is very good. It's good for you guys to be versatile with technology and to be able to get access to the internet, but you need to be guided, and you cannot be guided when your parents do not understand how important technology is. So their default mode will be to take away the gadget. No, we are saying that's not the right way. The right way is we engage, we get to know, and we let you know what programs are bad.
Thank you for your work to keep the children safe from harmful content. Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, please tell us, is it easier to regulate what is shown in the mainstream media as opposed to the social media?
I think so. It is easier to regulate the mainstream TV and radio than internet, because the internet is a global phenomenon, and therefore the regulations are also different from one country to the other. And then because of travelability of content, you find content done in the US is accessible here in Kenya. And through programs or platforms like Netflix and other over-the-top services, you have access to content that is created in other jurisdictions where the regulation is very different. For example, in the US, what they rate suitable for 13 cannot be suitable for our age 13 here in Kenya, and so on and so forth. Their classifiable elements are different. So yes, to answer your question, it is more complicated to regulate the internet because of its versatility and the changing nature, and it becomes very difficult to keep in touch with the hackers and the bad guys on the internet.
Okay, that was really helpful information. If my friends and I wanted to pursue a career in media, what are some of the career opportunities apart from TV reporters?
I think being a filmmaker, being a musician, using innovation. The guy who did M-Pesa is a young Kenyan. There are so many opportunities for job creation. And in fact, it is established by research that creativity or creative economy is the frontier of job creation. If you look at the US, without Hollywood and how powerful music has contributed to the economy, films, Hollywood itself, how it has contributed to the GDP of America. Closer to home in Nigeria, Nollywood is the second highest contributor to the GDP of that country. So a lot of young people in Nigeria are actually self-employed. They are making music, they are making films. Tanzania is also doing the same. You know, there are musicians who are having 2 billion. Is it 2 billion? I think Diamond has broken the record, I think, in the region. He has the highest number of following. There's that young lady sensation. And we are looking at it and saying, Kenya is better with technology. I think our guys need to be more creative and business-minded in the way they use technology. But there's a lot of business opportunities in filmmaking, in film production distribution. There's a lot of business in YouTube. There's a lot of business in innovations and in music. You just need to sort out the issues of piracy and the bad elements of technology. And I think the future lies with innovation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mutua, for that. Please tell us, what are some of the personal values that made you work for KFCB and still make you work for them?
I came here deliberately because I wanted to have a job that directly impacts people and I can be able to see. I was the Secretary of Information at the Ministry of ICT before I came here. So when KFCB advertised for the CEO's job, I looked at what they do and this work of protecting children because I'm very passionate. Fortunately, at that point, my wife was working with the UNICEF for 15 years, and I had got an interest with the programs related to the work that UNICEF does. But also in my life, and because of the upbringing and the challenges that I've gone through, I'm very interested in seeing a country that is morally upright. I'm driven by the desire to see a country that has a proper moral foundation, because I think we have done very well in building the infrastructure, but the software of our nation, which is behavior, which is character, which is the decency and the moral element of us, is broken. And so when we did digital migration in 2015 with CS Matiang'i, that time, he was my boss, he was the Minister for ICT, and we pushed digital migration. I knew the challenges that would come with the new media, with the top services, Netflix and other platforms that now are accessible to children. And I wanted to become part and parcel of a solution rather than just complain like the rest of the country. So I wanted to come here, impact in policy formulation, but also in enforcement to ensure that children are safe. And I did very well. When I arrived here, my first job within 2 weeks, I banned 15 adverts some of them were beer adverts that were coming during the watershed period. It almost got me fired, I was told these ones are never touched. But I said it is the law. The law says there shall be no adult content during the watershed period. So building the character of the people, promoting decency, and promoting the welfare of the mind and the heart and the soul of our people is more critical. That is what drove me to come here, and I'm very happy that I'm making a difference.
Wow, that's really impressive, and I like the way that you like protecting children from harmful content.
Thank you.
What advice do you have for the students who look up to you and want to be where you are now?
That they just work hard and uphold integrity and discipline. There is no shortcut to success. And if you work hard, it doesn't matter where you came from. If I give you my story, and I wish one time when there's no COVID, I can let you visit where I come from. I'm blessed because my parents are very old, 100 years thereabout, and they are very inspirational. And coming from that place where I've told you is not in Google Maps. You can't Google my place. I come from a place called Ngoleni in Mwala, Machakos County. And if I can come from there and become a CEO, I think what I can tell people is with hard work and discipline and faith in God, where you are or where you were born from does not matter. Like Lupita Nyong'o said, no matter who you are or where you come from, your dreams are valid. So that's what I would tell them. Work hard, believe in yourself, write your dreams down, and always find something new to work on. There's always something new to learn, something new to achieve. No matter how good you are, there's always somebody who is better out there. Have role models in life. Aspire to become like so-and-so and look at their values and read about them. So what I would tell the young people is have role models. Look at people you aspire up to, but work hard. Nothing comes easy. Easy come, easy go. The philosophy of life should be to have discipline, believe in God, obey your parents, obey the law, and work hard. God rewards hard work, and you'll never go wrong with hard work.
We're very grateful for that. Thank you. Please tell us what was your driving passion in your career path?
I was driven here by poverty. I feared, we suffered when we were young. We were so poor that poor people used to call us poor. We had no food, no nothing. And I saw people mocking us. In fact, I've settled my parents and built them a nice house. Exactly a place at a point where I had a neighbor mocking us when I was 10 years. He said my father's house has just gone into ruins. Said in Kikamba it's very hurting. And those words stuck in my mind. And I used to hear people refer to us in respect to poverty and the people who have nothing and who may never amount to anything. And I set my mind to challenge that narrative and work to liberate myself and my family from poverty. So I believed in God. I went to church, I went to Sunday school, I worked hard in school, I tried to make friends every time. Even now, my greatest strength is making friends with the people who can influence my life and make decisions that will open a door for me. So I don't spend my time with people of my age or people of my class. I always look for bigger people. Like I told you, my mentor is Obama. You would be thinking it's another CEO or a minister. No, I aspire to relate with the presidents and I have presidents for my friends. And this is my inspiration, that with a commitment and a focus and with God on your side, His favor guiding you, there is nothing you cannot surmount.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Ezekiel.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ivy. You guys are amazing.
We really appreciate having you on the show and wish we could meet you some other time.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure being on your show, and I look forward to having more opportunities with you. You are amazing. You guys are the kind of children that we want. You define the best of our society. I wish you well. Any support I can give you or the board can give you to continue creating good content. We are promoting a campaign for clean content, and we want young people like yourselves to own that campaign. And I want you to become champions and ambassadors of clean content. So it was a pleasure meeting you today.
Thank you.
Asante sana.